Hey guys, it's Crowbar Zero, and today I'm going to talk about farming. But not just the next, like, oh hey, here's the next big shiny meta. I think at this point, probably the best advice that I can give is kind of going down to the basics of all the different tools that are available. So no matter where you are in the game, there's going to be something in this video that's going to be applicable to you, and then you can adapt that to your situation and do the best that you can. So, first off, everyone knows, ideally the first ultimate weapon that you get should be Golden Tower, ideally. Even at pretty low levels, it's still going to contribute a little bit to your coin gains, and a little bit in the long run turns into quite a bit. So, Golden Tower is an excellent tool. Uh, as you build it over time, that's becoming a significant, more impactful part of your econ. And then when you stack it with all the other bonuses that are going on, it's pretty substantial. The one thing that I want to kind of cover as far as Golden Tower is, on one hand, is your goal going to be eventually 100% uptime? Or is it going to be uptime that's going to be quality and synchronized with everything else? And that's why we have some things like Multiverse Nexus. That's really nice for just kind of bringing all of your major ultimate weapon synchronizations together. Yeah. So, kind of universal, a nice substat for Golden Tower is going to be the Golden Tower bonus, and then I'm going to be going into more on that maybe a little bit later on. Next one is GT Plus. I can't talk about Golden Tower without talking about the Ultimate Weapon Plus variant, which basically the more enemies you kill, the higher this multiplier gets, until you get a nice big payout at the end of that. So the big part of that aspect is not only are you going to want GT Plus, but you're going to want to have a long duration so you can build that multiplier up for the bigger payday at the very end. So a nice stat to help boost that at that point is going to be Golden Tower duration. Deathwave. So Deathwave got a rework, and it sounds like it's going to be reworked in the future. But currently, now when it sends out its waves, it will mark enemies during that time period for that coin bonus, which is maxes out at 1.8 times. So the good substat for that in particular, just in general, is going to be higher quantities of waves that go out. That way, you kind of extend that duration of how many, what's that time frame? Is it just going to be like a second or two or whatever, maybe 5 seconds of a bonus versus like 20, 30, 40 seconds worth of bonuses that you're keeping up with that. Spotlight. So the big part of that is going to be quantity and the angle for that. Spotlight bonus, or at least for the coin bonus, goes up to ×3. So you're going to be wanting to kill enemies in Spotlight. So the other part is actually also having a nice bonus, because ideally you want there to be enough disparity at this point between what's in Spotlight and what's not in Spotlight. So you're not killing things that are out of Spotlight, but you're killing everything that's within Spotlight with that, that significant difference in the multiplier. So Spotlight bonus is actually really nice, just if you're trying to throttle how much damage you're doing. So you're only killing enemies within your Spotlight. And just to kind of reiterate on that, some of the tools that will negatively impact that are things like orbs, death ray. Those tools will likely kill enemies outside of your Spotlight unless you have 100% coverage, which most people are not going to have for probably quite a long time. Black hole. That's another tool. We've got limited range on that, so you'll have to be careful as far as your orbs go. Death ray is pretty much probably going to be off the table. The max coin bonus is going to be like a times 11 bonus that it gives to all your coin gains. Really, really significant. Absolutely want that synchronized up and working with Golden Tower as much as possible. If you are going for like that, instead of like down to 100 seconds and you're like, okay, I want to jump that down to 50 seconds, at that point, maybe you're looking at like, okay, I need enough duration, so when I get that second proc of Black Hole, I'm still going with that first chunk of Golden Tower. That might be something to kind of consider on that one. And then Coinbot. So Coinbot's going to float around. Generally, if you want to capture as many enemies in Coinbot as you can, as far as like consistency, you're going to be wanting to kill enemies relatively on the closer side to your tower. Sometimes it'll be like right on your tower, and then it's going to be like, well, it's still going to be kind of close on both ends. Or if it's a little bit to the side, maybe you can reach kind of close to the other side of your tower. Maybe not. But overall, just to kind of capture as many as you can, you're going to be wanting to kill enemies within that coin bot. So if I compile all of this together in a run, you're looking at, I guess, as general rules, shorter range, you're going to want to be killing enemies in Spotlight, and it's going to be close range and in your Spotlight. So probably overall you're going to want to kind of throttle your damage so that you can kind of hit that sweet spot and really maximize on everything. As far as and that's pretty much what I'm kind of doing right now. I am running G-Comp. Once I get Coinbot down to 50 seconds, where it would be synchronized with Black Hole and a little bit with everything else, at that point I'm going to try some other strategies like Singularity Harness, maybe Black Hole Digester, see how some of those tools work, and hopefully the payout on some of those strategies work out better than G-Comp. I don't know, we'll find out, but that's kind of my thought process, and my goal is, for that right now. Hopefully I can achieve that within the next week or so. Next thing, just can't talk about some of the tools without talking about some of the enemies. So bosses, before any of the multipliers, they are going to yield the most coins. So if you're really early on, but you've got, let's say, a really nice coin bonus to killing enemies in Spotlight, maybe you want to roll Own Chip instead of Dimension Core or anything else. That might be a nice tool just to be able to point that Spotlight at the boss every single time and make sure you get that extra yield. Maybe not. Tanks and elites, they're going to be the next set of enemies that yield the most, followed by protectors, range, fast, and then your basics. So basics usually are not going to yield any sort of coins, and then if you've got the critical coin card equipped, then basics have up to a 33% chance to yield 1 coin. So not a lot, but if you do have GT Plus, at least basics are going to be able to build your that GT gauge, so you're getting a larger payout at the end of that. So just something to keep in mind as far as that goes. Modules. So I kind of talked about a little bit earlier as far as like orbs and death ray are going to be harmful for killing enemies outside of your black hole, etc. DP obviously is going to make it very, very easy to just possibly one-shot enemies that are completely outside of everything. Your spotlight, your black hole, everything. Just making like up to 15% of the enemies just completely worthless too. Other than maybe building your GT Plus bonus, but you really want all those other bonuses adding up. Dimension Core, that's an interesting one. So, yes, the more chain lightning shocks you can proc, and the closer the enemies are, it's kind of like the ideal scenario, but it becomes actually kind of, in practice, it becomes kind of hard to modulate it. I think it is possible. I just haven't gotten to that point of using it, and generally I use Dimension Core for more of my tournament mod. So maybe if I had a second Dimension Core, I could try to farm with that. But in the past, I did. I didn't see a huge lot of success. I think it is possible, but yeah, I would probably go with something else for your core module, either Multiverse Nexus or Harmony Connector. So I mark that as kind of like, maybe it's a possibility. Multiverse Nexus, obviously, that's going to synchronize all of your major cooldowns. And ideally, if you can get that synchronized with CoinBot, that would be absolutely fantastic. Some people are using that currently on like medium to high, as far as like, you know, where people are ranking. So I think there's definitely a possibility with Multiverse Nexus. I think the major goal with that one is if you have, you'll probably want negative cooldown for Deathwave and Golden Tower, just so you can get that. I think it's about an extra 15 seconds. No, it'd be like, I think total it'll maybe 10 seconds total of. I don't remember. It's been a while. But it's gonna pay. Those two are gonna pay out a lot more as far as compared to Black Hole cooldown, just only 4 seconds compared to -12 or -13. So those are kind of the two that if you do roll Multiverse Nexus, you might want that to go on there, which kind of clogs up unless you've got like all 6 slots open. I think it would be kind of difficult to really slot in all of the substats into Multiverse Nexus and really get the most out of it. But just a thought for people, maybe higher up it works absolutely fantastic, and maybe a little bit lower down too. I don't know. You know, everyone's at a different spot as far as like where they are in the game, so I'm not going to be one to judge one way or another. If you get better results with it, awesome. G-Comp, so that's in like your utility slot. That just, you know, whenever you get packages, yeah, it's going to lower your cooldowns, and a lot of people use that to try to get 100% uptime on a lot of their ultimate weapons, though Deathwave is lagging a little bit behind everything else. And I think if you wanted to combine something like G-Comp and Multiverse Nexus, you're probably going to want to go for maybe full in as far as the black hole duration goes. Let's see, Singularity Harness. So this is one that I'm hoping within the next week or so to be able to try experimenting with. Basically, it's going to increase the size of your bots. So my goal is not going to be the 100% uptime, but more of can I capture more of those quality kills that are relatively close to me with Singularity Harness. In the past, sometimes it kind of performed maybe a little bit underneath G-Comp, but I think once I hit that point, it may actually outperform. So, but that's pretty much when you hit a point where you've got that CoinBot synchronized with everything else. Black Hole Digester, a lot of people are using that. So I've got mixed feelings because on that one, you're going to have orbs going around. it's only going to be not leveling up your range. So to really get the most out of it, you're really going to want to make sure that you pump up spotlight angle, hopefully to max if possible, or pretty close to it, so your orbs aren't going to be they're basically, ideally, a large enough black hole and 100% coverage. You're not going to be losing out coins for enemies that are slipping in between the cracks of spotlight. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all that I have for today. Um, and then, yeah, as far as my build, this is my scuff run. I found out 5k waves into it that I left my tournament modules on. So I've got DP and Dimension Core on. So I'm just going to end up pressing cells for this run, and then I'll switch out everything after this run's done. But yeah, generally I'll try to shoot for maybe my damage to be about, divide whatever the enemy health is by maybe like 1,000 or so. Now everyone's going to be different, so if you don't have spotlight bonus, you don't have a lot of other things, and your damage isn't all that great, maybe you want to narrow down that. Yeah, and then some other things to take into consideration. Chain lightning, you're gonna want to turn that on when you're not going to be killing enemies really with that much damage, because chain lightning can reach pretty far, especially at high quantities. And it's great that it adds shock, and with Dimension Core, you could build that shock multiplier up when the enemies come close. But if you're doing enough damage to kill them pretty far out, then you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot with that. So just be careful when you activate that. Smart missiles, I'll do maybe mid-late into round. For Spotlight, I will usually activate that pretty much after I get through the Devo phase, so that I've got that Spotlight coverage on. I usually leave missiles on just because the missiles are going to attack enemies within Spotlight, versus, something like smart missiles, which could hit pretty much any enemy, whether they're inside Spotlight or not. Yeah. Hopefully that makes sense. And you got a lot more clusters of them, so you can build up that amp. So once you activate smart missiles, that's when you're going to really want to make sure you've got that larger gap, just to make sure that the amp isn't allowing you to kill enemies that are not in Spotlight. Death Wave I'll have on. Inner landmines, the inner part isn't too bad once you get the outer ring. Sometimes, for me at least, I've noticed that it can cause some lags with too many explosions. So be wary of that. If your frame per second drop too much, that could negatively impact your coin gates. Poison Swamp. I know some people have been farming with it in the past. I didn't find any success with it, and the big part was I was getting a lot of frames per second drops, which obviously increases your or decreases your frames per second. And you also want stun off, because you don't want to be stunning enemies far away from your towers. You want to kind of manage the enemies pretty close to roughly probably where your wall is going to be. So you usually have Black Hole, Golden Tower on all the time. Chrono Field, I think as I level up CF Plus, I'm probably going to turn that off early on, just so I can get enemies as close to my tower as quickly as possible. And that's also a problem if you expand out that range too far. That'll be slowing down enemies and possibly even pushing out the spawn point even further away from your tower. So you want to kind of keep that mid-ish, I think the sweet spot for tournament performance. And farming was about an extra 45 meters, I believe. I'll have to double check that. Yeah, I've got plus 45 meters, so that's what I usually use. And then, you know, you can hold that back just so you can keep that enemy spawn as close as you possibly can. Which means you'll be killing enemies faster and just cycling through everything a lot more efficiently. I think I covered the major chunk of things. I kind of skipped over a little bit of the miscellaneous coin farming when talking about perks, labs, themes, tiers. But just, you know, quick, you'll always want to grab the themes. You don't know how long it's going to take for maybe they'll come back. You know, labs obviously have a pretty permanent effect. When it comes to perks and tiers, you're going to want to, you know, do a little bit of careful balance because you want to go far enough into the run where you've got all of your perks active, and you know you're benefiting from those as much as possible. But you want enough of a tier bonus as well, so not only are you getting cells, but you have enough of that coin bonus to supplement. So, yeah. Anyway, I guess I will catch you guys later. Hope you guys found that helpful. It's pretty late in my day recording this, so sorry about. Yeah, but anyway, we'll catch you later.